Just about 3 weeks ago, I had released a video named 5 Progression Tips as Victim for Improvement in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I have received so much support from you guys, and it seemed to help a lot of people progress, even as an experienced player. That video is now sitting at around 1,600 views and almost 60 likes. I can't thank you all enough. I thought it was only in due time that I released tips for the other side for family members. Let me just tell you all, family is the main side I play. I personally enjoy adapting new play styles, and with family, the abilities seem to be more of a drastic difference when it comes to game-changing moments. And depending on the loadout you run can completely affect the game you're playing. I had originally released a video similar to this called How to Play Effectively as Family. If you want to check that out, the video links are in the description for both of these videos. So let's take a deeper dive. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is so great to be back to regular uploading schedules. If you don't know, I just moved. And remember, this is just helpful advice for you guys. Of course, as always, play the game as you like. If you prefer not to take mine, that is cool. If you're here, I have some juicy information to share with you all. Starting with Bubs himself, Mr. Leatherface. Now this first one is going to be dealing with early pressure. As you know, if you've played as Leatherface, this is elementary to you. Leatherface starts in the basement. Now let me tell you how crucial this first tip is for you. There are 3 key elements to put your teammates in an excellent position. Number 1, pressure basement doors. The map Family House is an excellent example of this. There are 4 basement doors that are so close to each other, making it so easy to patrol. Avoid victims in hard to chase positions. As discussed in my tips video, every second is crucial as family. Victims will always continue to put themselves in good positions behind crawl spaces, gaps, doors, for example. It is very easy to get distracted by this. Number 2, push victims into the open. If you could take your time revving with someone you catch in an open area, it's most of the time a free kill, and so much easier for later pressure, one less victim running around doing their objective. Now this works extremely well, especially if you have Leatherface level 3 ability. Follow the path of stalling resistance with instant activation. And not only will you be able to one-hit survivors, you'll also be able to quickly tap the chainsaw and instant kill after the victim is staggered, which is game-changing. Obviously not required though. You may also hit the survivor a few times, then fully rev the chainsaw for a quick hit, even if you do not have the level 3 ability. Getting on to my third point, breaking vault barriers and crawl spaces for convenience. Now I realize with this key element there is a misunderstanding with this. You don't want to pointlessly run off from the objective, but if you continue to break these along the way, it makes it so much easier for you and your teammates to catch victims later on, or at least catch them off guard. Now for my more experienced gamers. A lot of Leatherface players like to run stamina perks. Let me just tell you guys something real quick. There is no need to use them. The amount of times I have failed to get a kill because of stamina is almost never. Instead, what you should do is once you get really experienced with Leatherface, you can keep your chainsaw in a fully rev state. Even if you're fully out of stamina, you will still continue to run in a super fast state. I have countless examples of this, of me doing this on stream, and hopefully I have an example for you guys in the video for you guys to watch. But beware, once you're out of this state, you will require to regain stamina in order to get out of the walking state. For now, this is an in-game mechanic, so it works well too. Leatherface tends to get bullied a lot, sneak attacks from behind, door slams on your face, and even Leland's ability you are not even safe from. You can, for the time being, use this against him, which does work in some cases. Face your back towards walls and also use the character to temporarily block closed off spaces that Leatherface can't normally get through. You can do this with gap spaces, crawl spaces, and so much more while collision is not a thing. Last but not least, do yourself a favor and put on the master key, at the very least as a beginner. I still use this, it is so clutch for me. At level 3, it gives you the ability to burst through latch doors 5 times. This will play a part in just about every game you play. And the mechanic for breaking down doors is way too long. It gives victims the ability to find an escape route, save yourself about 5 seconds of animation, and enough in some cases to get the kill faster. Now we have made it to the cook, by far the most influential character in the game. Not only because of his padlocking ability, which I'll get to later, but his hearing tracking ability. Now, as I'm working on still upgrading my cook, he is just so game changing. A lot of newer players really mess up the dynamic of playing this family member role, and let me just break the news to you all. His role is not to chase down victims. The role is to push the survivor into bad positions or back to the basement where you can track their movements. I know, it's not what you want to hear. Cook is extremely slow, and the only scenario where you should be chasing victims down is when you're pressuring them off exit gates or to keep them preoccupied until your teammates arrive. He cannot vault through any spaces at all. He's not a chase type of player, and the reality of it is if you want to chase, do not play Cook. He is more of a stall the game for your teammates to find them, and his ability is so dang good. You won't have any issues doing that. If you corner these victims and you either have great comms or his ability, the family can pin the victim to send them straight back to the main menu. And that doesn't mean you will not get kills with him. You absolutely can and will. Just leave the heavy lifting for your team to take on the chase. Strategic padlocking is your main lesson here. Now this is very dependent on map and who your other family members are, and Cook synergizes extremely well with Hitchhiker and Sissy. as they are able to lay down multiple traps around the map, and they can also push survivors towards you. When I play with Cook, I have one lesson I like to follow nearly every game. Lock one side completely down with padlocks. I do this on gas station with the generator side, and the same thing with the slaughterhouse, and I will position myself on the opposite side where I place my padlocks. This gives me the ability to have full control of the map and track down the survivors' movements while locking down the main exits. If you don't know already, unlocking Cook's padlocks with any perk associated takes 2 lockpicks each. Upon breaking the padlocks, it is extremely easy to recognize. I really like to run stamina perks and savagery perks, and this is huge. You want to run the perk security pins for one of your perk slots, with the added grandpa ability exterior alarms. This combination is disgusting. At level 3 for security pins makes added locks 50% harder to unlock for victims. They will spend so much precious time trying to take off your padlocks, and exterior alarms will highlight all the critical doors and exits for 5 seconds upon being opened. Like I mentioned before, if you padlock one side of the map and patrol the other, you'll see everything. As soon as they open the door, you'll see it with exterior alarms. That's even if they get past your first padlock. The other 2 perks, you can use stamina or savagery perks. I like to switch off personally, but most savagery perks gives you faster cooldowns, and obviously for stamina while maintaining your speed for longer periods of time. Then when your ability is on cooldown, feed grandpa using the central blood stations on each map. Only in most cases you want to be around grandpa. Continue to create as much aura reading for your teammates to find these survivors and be the best teammate you can be. You will be unstoppable as Cook. Up next is Hitchhiker. He is just so fun to play with. Hitchhiker has the ability to place his own custom traps wherever you may see fit. He is absolutely, positively, without a doubt, a very great chase character. Once you find victims, stick to them like bees on a flower. Your main takeaway with Hitchhiker should be time management. Hear me out for a second, because this is where the misunderstanding is. Your main concern should not be slowing down to feed grandpa or even running around making sure exit gates are closed. What you should be doing is constantly setting and resetting strategic traps, using your focus ability to track your traps around the map to check if they're active or if they've been disabled, and continue to reset them. Kind of in a way like the Cook, but in a whole different light. The lesson being, once again, strategic traps. If you're not doing what I'm about to mention, you should definitely consider doing this the next time you play Hitchhiker. Place traps in high traffic areas. Now that might sound very obvious. Place yourself in the survivor's shoes and ask yourself what spots on the map would I not expect as a victim. You should 100% trap the fuse box, which in 95% of my lobbies as victim, Hitchhikers are not doing. Huge mistake. Also, for instance, if you're playing with Cook, you should trap the doors that Cook does not trap to slow victims down. Chances are, if victims are stepping in your traps, it is most likely going to work on a different victim. After all, the aura is not shown to victims upon stepping in a trap. There's this amazing spot on Family House I love to place a trap, not only the window jumping out to the main road, but also right behind the door on the side of the house. It is a really cheeky spot that victims just don't seem to expect, and they think it's a free exit spot. And that's what you should present in your gameplay. Now, as you level up Hitchhiker, this is kind of a give or take, but I like to either use the bleed damage once he reaches level 3 for his ability. I like to run the all family C noise trap add-on. These are both filthy. Bleed damage works well for survivors with low health. They're also forced to heal or they would be incapacitated after a period of time. And all family C just gives the ability for everyone to see when victims step in my traps. You can pick and choose which is more beneficial for you, of course. Enable your Hitchhiker to run pure stamina perks, and I guarantee you will love playing this as a family member. I personally like to run the perks Dinner Bell and Venom together. It just has crazy good synergy. And in that third perk slot, slow down duration for stuns or another standard perk is a great choice as well. But when victims step in my traps with Venom at level 3, we'll take 1 HP of extra damage for the next 30 seconds. And not only that, but when paired with the Dinner Bell, I will also gain 60 points of extra stamina for 15 seconds, which allows me to freely run and swing with very little discipline to my endurance overall. Try this in your games. If you place really well traps, I guarantee you it will increase your kill rate. Now we're on to Sissy. Playing against Sissy as a victim is frustrating to say the least, and not in anywhere where she's broken or unable to play against. It's more of how great her ability truly is. And to be honest, it's slept on since the nerf for her ability. To be honest, this was needed. The only downside to her ability that I can think of post-patch playing as her, of course, would be shooting the poison as you release it towards a victim, being that it expires somewhere in between 40 to 50 seconds, and you have to refill this ability at a poison station located somewhere around the map. It is very limited to say the least. But don't get things twisted. Anyone in her poison rage or afflicted by it from useful victim items will suffer drastic effects. And this absolutely means not being able to run in a straight line. It also means you are slowed down, and you even take more damage during the effects, which is honestly extremely powerful. As you level her up, her ability as well, you can also affect more items and interactions in the environment, with the most powerful effect being the Toxic Cloud, which causes victims to lose health for a short period of time as well. Tracking and positioning is the key here, and the biggest lesson you'll learn of them all. Sissy is already a great chaser in her base kit. If you manage to track down a victim and chase them for a good period of time, just stopping and releasing this poison cloud in the victim's vicinity will mark their aura red and lasting effects I mentioned before. This means family members and victims will be able to see this marked survivor. Best thing to do is corner a victim, shoot the cloud in their vicinity, lure them into it, and go after those melee attacks, because it will not take a lot of hits before victims start looking for another option. Now, another great thing to mention, Sissy has the best blood harvesting out of any character on the family member side without additional attributes included, which typically tells you to specifically run perks that of course increase stamina and also value that high blood harvesting attribute, like for instance Blood Runner or even Universal Donor, which also plays to Sissy's strengths for either feeding grandpa or executing victims. Another great attribute for Sissy is her stalking ability, and for those who are listening probably have no idea what I'm talking about. There is a grandpa ability called Experienced Stalkers that reduces the proximity warning for victims when they're around family members. If you're aware, from the victim side, gives you a yellow flash around the corners of the screen to let you know when the family is near. This makes for great surprise attacks, and trust me, victims do not see it coming. You would be surprised of how easy it is to throw them off with this active. Lastly, oh geez, Johnny, here it is. I'm going to keep it real with you. I do not play Johnny as much as I should, but I do have my own experience and flaws with him that I released in a past video, so let's not go over that today. The main concern I see with Johnny players are actually a couple things. One, do not close crawl spaces as a new player. Let Leatherface close them as he can actually destroy them entirely. I also play against Johnny a lot. A lot of players don't even use his tracking ability, which oftentimes confuses me. I mean, having access to an ability that literally finds hidden victims or where victims might have gone has given up my location tons of times playing victim. But I'm going to say this, there's a fine line here. Cook is better for melee damage, Johnny is better for stamina, and these two go hand in hand with tracking abilities. I typically like to run a heavy stamina build with Johnny, or in any case, anything to help me with my tracking kit. Punishment is an excellent perk to run at him. At level 3, when finding a victim in a hiding spot, 50 extra points of damage will be dealt to the survivor. Works incredibly. Pair this with Rage and your Saw, because when you hit victims, your ability bar fills 15% at level 3, whatever you like for your third slot. But whatever is easier for you guys to find victims that are in hiding spots, and if you get your ability up faster, it's just way easier for you to find these victims down. Easier than any other family member, to be honest. For Grandpa's ability, I typically will use something like Barge to the Point for easy access on first time slams, or even Suffocating Grip for close encounter minigames. Or if you really want to focus on melee, you can also go down the path of Swing for the Fences, for less stamina consumed with melee attacks by 20%. It also depends on really what you're going for. If you really want to get better with Johnny, your main concern should be control. Johnny is fairly balanced on being offensive, like chasing survivors down, and also very good at being a defensive player with protecting areas that otherwise seem like lose-lose situations. He has a very unique ability that saves you a lot of time in the long run of not searching in big hiding areas for fast reveals. I also gotta admit, his hunt ability has really interesting level up tiers. I mean, you have increased trail range where you can track footsteps all the way across the map, and also footprint freshness, which changes the color of these footprints for the duration of time they were left. And that could be pretty game-changing for finding victims faster than any other family member. You also have to account for Cook's ability in this matter. Cook cannot discover people hiding in bushes or enclosed areas. It completely negates the tracking for this. Johnny is definitely excellent when it comes to that regard. And when it comes to finding victims in bushed off areas or where they're hiding to wait for the family to leave, Johnny is the best at this. He's better than Cook, he's better than Leatherface. You can find people very easily just using his ability, and that's what I would suggest Johnny for. Look, all I'm trying to point out in this video with these tips is to adhere to the family member's strengths and how they're going to help you win more games. These aren't just strategic tips that can help you, but benefit you to your playstyle in an effective manner to give all players a fair shot toward balancing the game for both sides. I don't want to make effective meta builds that stall out the game and make it boring for everyone to play. I want to give everyone an opportunity that if your games aren't going well, this is what you will learn from playing these characters over time. And honestly, if you want to get better at both sides, the only thing that will make your gameplay better is playing for yourself and getting better through experience. But let me know what you guys think. Do they help you in your games? Feel free to let me know and smash that like button and comment how effective they are in your games. Love to hear all your opinions, and I am very active on my YouTube channel with you guys. Thank you guys again for the love on my tips video. I hope I can make more awesome videos like this, and give me a shout what you guys would like to see next. But without further ado, my name is Waldo, and I am out. Peace.